Okay, welcome. Phone here. Getting a nice low. Here we are. Levels there. Okay. Go ahead. Do I need to have the game just edge higher? Okay. That's what OBS says. If it's a little low, sorry, I don't know why that would be happening. Welcome. Welcome to the stream. First of all, apologies for being so late to post the, whatever it's called, the stream announcement, the thumbnail, etc. It just has just time, time flew right by, and it also took me a good while to come up with any kind of, basic concept or theme for today's stream. But we did eventually, and with the thing, it's tomorrow. At the time of my talking, the Game Awards are set for tomorrow evening here in LA. And before we get there, I don't know. I guess I'll say right at the top, I'm not certainly not anymore. I'm not super big into a lot of award shows in general, whether it's Oscars or Emmys or certainly not the Golden Globes or BAFTAs, anything. It's not really for me, and I can kind of argue against some of the utility of those kinds of shows. But at the same time, there's a really basic sense of value just in how those shows give everybody an opportunity to talk about whatever medium, whatever came out in that medium over the past year, typically. So why not? This is just, regardless of the awards themselves, we don't really care that much. It's fine. If something goes horribly wrong, that's kind of funny, as long as everybody's safe. But it's just a chance for us to complain and say good things about certain games, and especially because it's relatively rare that I actually talk about video games here on the channel. It feels like a nice way to do it, Instead of a full video that will be redundant and useless, outdated in a couple of days after the event, why not just talk about it in a stream, have a fun chat with you folks, and then we'll go our merry way, Also, hi Toots, how's it going? Been a while. Well, a little while anyway. How are ya? And what has been going on? Also, I hope my levels are okay here. I'll give credit where credit is due. This is the video I'm using for my music today. There you go. Yeah, it's pretty nice so far. It's not, I don't know, inevitably in some of these video game music mixes on YouTube, you either get stuff that's copyrighted and it gets your video flagged, or there's just obnoxious music in what is supposed to be like a really relaxing mix or something like that, which I don't get. I don't get how that happens. But this is pretty good so far, and it's pretty long, so maybe it'll tide us over for the entire stream. And what else? Yeah, well, as usual, I will, of course, run down some quick headlines, hopefully quick headlines here on Cartoon Brew. I should probably make that portion of the stream faster, huh? I feel like sometimes I really get stuck in this stuff, and it's just too much. Yes. Okay. Sad. Sorry to have the screen stuck on such a sad headline there. Apparently the Scott Pilgrim anime continues to get good reviews and really positive feedback, and I guess I'll have to finish it when I have a chance, but I really didn't feel that way about it. I talked a little bit about that last week. So I'll just skip over that one, but there are a couple other interesting things here. Jerron Braxton, maybe how it's pronounced, will make his feature debut with the animated monster movie Slime. I don't know who this animator is or what Glucose is. I now know what slime is, but the image intrigued me. What a neat style, I thought to myself. Celebrated animator, who I don't know, is making a Kid Cudi movie. Okay. But Braxton, self-taught animator. That's pretty cool. Awesome. Well, I guess I'll have to take a look, but this is really just an announcement, basically, you know. The collab choice is whatever, you know, but hey. Like this Game Boy cap thing on the wall. Dude says, I'm good. I haven't caught your streams until they were over or nearly over in recent weeks. Oh, it's cool. And and as always, I mean, whatever. Don't worry about it at all. But yeah, it's also been a lot of, I mean, you know, predictably, it's been a lot of animation specific talk over the last couple of streams too, I feel like. So, I you know, I still am. we're literally on the animation news site right now, but it's nice to get some variety, is what I'm saying. So we'll move past that a little bit. Anyway, heads up, something to look out for. I don't think they even mentioned a release date for that, right? Juried Emmy winners, which I guess is different from regular Emmys. Okay, so I think, yeah, so this is more technical awards. Okay, so the character layout artist working on The Simpsons is winning a thing. There you go. Yeah, so much more technical stuff, which is cool, but also harder to comment. Well, harder for me to comment on, just because, you know, I am not a professional animator, so I really don't have so much to say about the, you know, the technical components, the process itself, especially at the professional level. Like I do with a whole team. No, I that's not my, you know. I would be making up nonsense if I tried to, but it's still cool. So cool. And was this the entire, this is it? This is the whole thing? Okay. All right. And yeah, Intergalactic, I don't think I have ever, I don't think I saw that. Came up in that last post involving Kid Cudi. I'm sorry, guess I just missed that. And you know what else? I don't know if, I don't know if you did, Toods. I forget whether you're a Star Wars guy. I didn't watch season 2 of Star Wars Visions. Sorry, my throat really starts to go. Star Wars Visions was, well, season 1 was exclusively anime studios, I think, doing their little riffs on Star Wars universe stuff, right? Season 2, it seemed like they were branching out, and it wasn't, you know, not restricted to anime, but just a bunch of different studios and different styles. Dude says, I'm so sorry. It might be like the 2 pots of coffee I drank today. Dude says, feel free to answer this later, but does any animated movie stand a chance against Across the Spider-Verse during award season? Well, it's funny you ask. I'm happy to, oh my gosh. I'm happy to talk about it now. Not hoppy, although maybe also that. Yeah, I mean, I guess that was last week, right? Where I was sort of struggling with the same question myself. And I guess the short answer is yes, there are probably movies that stand a chance. For sure. You know, especially with the Academy, right? If we're talking Oscars stuff. If we're talking like sort of People's Choice popular vote, then I feel like Spider-Man would take most everything, if not, unfortunately, you know, like the Mario movie would maybe pick some stuff up if it was purely popular vote, just because it was an incredibly popular movie with most people. But my cough broke the stream for you. Oh no. Let me double check. Let me make sure it's still running. Yes? Yes. Okay. You guys let me know if someone could just give me a heads up if it's working okay. or if it's not. Any feedback would be cool. I'll wait for just a little bit. But here on the stream like log page, I think it says we're okay. Yes? OBS says we're doing A-okay. All right. Hopefully we're still good. Okay, just again, give me a heads up and I'll do what I can. Okay. So Alan says it's okay. Oh, thank you very much. Also, hello, Alan. How's it going? Welcome back. Sorry, I'm thinking a lot about the Spider-Verse question, but also trying to keep it relatively pared down. You know, I am worried about saying too many things I can't back up with this one. But basically, there's kind of no denying like just how impressive the Spider-Verse sequel was. The only thing I'll say against it in terms of like specifically the Oscars, the only thing that it maybe has going against itself is the fact that it's a sequel and that the first movie won awards, you know, and specifically won that category at the Oscars. I feel the same way about Tears of the Kingdom, which we'll get into with the video game stuff soon enough. Just because it's a sequel and because the first one won the big thing, I am a bit worried. I'm worried that that will create a negative bias, basically, especially if people haven't actually seen Across the Spider-Verse and just say, oh, I assume it's the same style, which it is in a very general sense. Yes, it is an expansion, but yeah, it's the same look. It has to be. And they'll just say, oh, you know, it's more Spider-Man, whatever, superhero. I don't care. Let me vote for something art housey. Let me vote for something zeitgeisty like the Mario movie. And even the Chicken Run sequel, like I'm holding out hope that's going to be a killer movie. I am really. Oh, of course, and Miyazaki, right? The Boy and the Heron, I would say, just based on prestige factor alone, that is probably the only other one that has like a fully legitimate claim. You know, and here in the U.S. we haven't even seen it yet. It doesn't release for a couple more days, I think. But that absolutely has a shot just because it's Miyazaki. And it also does seem to be well reviewed, you know, regardless of the content of the movie itself, or I don't know. It's doing well, is what I'm saying. It did well at the festivals. I'm sure it will do well here in the States financially, at least relatively speaking. So yeah, so there is competition, but just personally, I continue to be very conflicted about how much I really like that Spider-Man movie and just how much they didn't sit on their laurels, you know? Like they absolutely just effort in every single corner, every single corner of the screen, every single sequence. They just the ideas, just the sheer amount of ideas that they are throwing up there on the screen is kind of incredible. Well, sort of, kind of related, I guess. This will be a short thing, but they're doing, I guess, limited. I'll put a caveat on this, but limited theatrical releases for Luca, Soul, and Turning Red, which apparently none of them were originally released in theaters. Right, I remember that for Turning Red. Luca, was it slightly more controversial? That one didn't release in theaters. I forget the timing. Soul was 2020, right? So like that we just knew. But yeah, see, like cool that they're including the short films, obviously. But yes, okay. So Turning Red was the most recent one to go streaming only. Very limited releases, not maybe in terms of the number of theaters necessarily, but just the screening times. This is not a a massive thing. I don't think so. Yeah, it's you know, it's kind of like when they re-release movies in theaters, like Nightmare Before Christmas they just did this past Halloween, right? You can see it in a couple places at a couple of times, and that's it. Anyway, but still cool, you know. That's all right. Alan says I'm good, thanks. Toot says the stream froze for 42 seconds. I'm so sorry. Well, I hope it at least recorded everything okay, so that the archive, is there and it's complete for anyone who's interested. But I apologize. Yeah, I didn't get any errors on my side, but there's always something ready to go wrong. That's just how this stuff works. There's so many pieces of the puzzle that have to work together. Tood says, also, I'm not a Star Wars guy. I've only seen the main series movies, and I think The Last Jedi is the best one by a mile. Wow, coming in with a hot take. I mean, not a hot take for me, but a lot of other people have some feelings about that one for sure. Okay, fair enough. Well, I mean, yeah, regardless, yeah, I really enjoyed that first season of Star Wars Visions, and I would genuinely like to see season 2. And I think Aardman was participating in that one as well. Just sounds like a fun time. I don't know, especially if they're getting into other tones where it's not just hyper serious, action oriented, dramatic stuff. Yeah, I would love some Star Wars comedy. I would love some lighter fare and variety. Okay, but is that? Yeah, honestly, not a ton of like killer. There's some sad news I don't feel like talking about. And apparently Trolls 3 or 4, which I continue to forget, is doing better than Wish in terms of box office, which is genuinely surprising. Like, we're not even talking about quality, just the fact that it's a Disney movie versus a DreamWorks movie. Just like the old days. You wouldn't expect DreamWorks to win out there. There you go. Yeah, so Boy and the Heron. Yeah, it's got more than a shot for sure, Oh no. No. Zen Studios. Sorry, I like some of their pinball stuff. Kind of a pinball person. I was playing pinball 20 minutes ago, wasn't I? Okay, maybe not 30 now. Hi, cat. Oh my gosh. Alan says, I'm so happy Fiona. Oh, sorry. I missed Ugo's comment. You still have not seen the Star Wars made by Cartoon Brew yet? Cartoon Brew or Cartoon Saloon? Ugo. Also, welcome back, Ugo. I'm guessing Cartoon Saloon, right? The, Breadwinner, Secret of Kells studio, right? Wolfwalker studio. But no, I haven't. I haven't seen any of season 2, so I don't know this. Dude says, I assumed Wish was streaming only, but I have no idea why. No, and well, I mean, fair enough, just given the fact that it was still relatively recently that Disney thought the streaming approach for what would otherwise be big theatrical features was a good idea. It seems like it wasn't a good idea. But yeah, no, Wish, especially with the big marketing push, at least that I've seen out around town, I definitely got the sense they wanted this to be an Oscars contender. And, I don't know if they had a realistic expectation that it would perform anywhere similarly to Frozen, but it's definitely modeled after Frozen in many ways. So I don't know. I think they had higher hopes. I'm sure it is still making plenty of money, but yeah, should we get numbers from that at least? And as we learned this summer, or we're reminded of this summer, box office numbers changed so much over the course of a release, so it's a lot. Okay. Yeah, so it's talking about drops between weekends and stuff like that. Wish is eked out only. Okay, hang on. Is this saying that Wish's total box office take so far is $42 million? Or is that just one weekend? No, hang on. We gotta, okay, hang on. I forget everything I just said about box office numbers changing around all the time. 42? Total? No. No way. Okay, yeah, well, still no, but look. Also, this article is what, like maybe a week old. No, it's 2 days old. Okay, so the worldwide for which right now is about 83. So double what I thought based on that article. Maybe I just misread. But yeah, not a very strong opening for sure. And yeah, worldwide, no. It's only a couple weeks, I get that. But it is usually a downward trajectory. Except in the case of Elemental. So, okay, it is still in flux, but yeah, that is a low take. Oh my gosh. Well, there you go, Tudes. Maybe it should have been streaming exclusive. Oh my goodness. Do they have a breakdown by country? I would love to see. Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay. Oh. Okay, so this is going to be less valuable than I thought. But it's still interesting. How did it do in Japan? Not out yet. Portugal, I don't know. And do you think they say UK or Great Britain? No, stay over here. Stay right there. Yep. You guys see UK or Great Britain? My window call? It is. The last one, I'll move on. Okay. Okay, well, yeah. No, yeah. Sorry. Anyway, Alan says, I am so happy Fiona and Kate got greenlit to a season 2. I'm very happy to hear that too. I'm just hearing it now. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah, so Max is one of the things that I dropped a long time ago for my streaming portfolio, whatever. I don't know. I really want to see it. I've was very happy with the Adventure Time Distant Lands shorts, specials, I guess we'll call them. Those were great. And it was very clear that Adventure Time still has plenty of juice left. And I've only heard very good things about Fiona and Cake, the show. No, that's great news, and especially in a time when, you know, Warner Discovery is the way that it is. Any green lights of animation stuff in general, any maintenance of existing animated shows is good news. They have not been the best stewards of their animated properties over the last couple of years. Also, I'll very quickly mention this. I don't want to get into the whole story. So the other day, wasn't expecting it, but long story short, wound up at an early screening. I don't think it was a test screening because they weren't like asking for feedback and stuff, but it was an early screening of the new sort of yet to be released adaptation of The Color Purple, co-executive produced by Oprah and Steven Spielberg. And a friend got me in, got to see the movie. It is a Warner Brothers release, which is why I'm bringing it up. And yeah, like it's almost definitely already a final cut. I think it's set for release on the 25th, I believe, or you know, around Christmas Day itself. I think I can. I don't. Well, again, I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, so I won't talk about the movie itself. But as is always the case with like early screenings or test screenings, you know there are marketing people around, and sometimes they're very upfront about it, you know, and they're like, they introduce themselves or they'll give the feedback cards, things like that. And other times they're not. They're just hanging around, or maybe there's cameras if it's a special studio lot, screening room, stuff like that. And this time, it was maybe 20 minutes into the movie that one of these studio people came in through a special door with security, wearing the most boring outfit possible, the most just bland, just white shirt, blue suit, just nothing, just no style, no flair, just what is expected. Um, and I'm bringing this up because there was a moment during the movie, there was a scene that got a big reaction from the crowd and from certain people in particular. And after that scene was over, this guy walked up to a member of the audience in the front row and started asking them questions. I can only assume to like get more data, to like clarify, like, oh, what was that, reaction or blah blah blah, and it grossed me out so viscerally that I really did feel sick. something about that. Something about that and how engineered the movie felt overall really grossed me out. Anyway, given what Warner Brothers has been doing, since the merger, yeah, the impression is so negative nowadays for me. Yeah, ugh, makes my skin crawl. Anyway, sorry, I'll move on. Yes, Ugo says, you have not seen the Star Wars eps that are made by Cartoon Saloon. No, I haven't. From what I heard from Wish, they try to play it safe, but because of that, it just seems like a plain movie, maybe. And Ugo also says, I got Max for 1 month just for Fiona and Kate. Gotcha. I'm totally with you there. I've done that plenty of times. What else was I going to say? Yeah, I don't remember whether it was on stream or not one week, but I did look at the Rotten Tomatoes one day, and they were very much. A lot of critics were basically calling it Disney propaganda. Like, this is just branding, and it is the 100th anniversary movie. So I get that to a certain extent. But if it's so blatant, if it's so disruptive, to the narrative, if it doesn't feel like it has substance beyond that, I totally get that. That is an incredibly valid, critique. And certainly something that would just feel gross, to watch. Which kind of makes me want to watch it, actually. So we'll see about that. But you know what? I think it's time. I mean, as always, we will continue to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. As evidence of this, here is the chat window. So that everybody, all the millions of people who watch this stream archive later on, you will always be there. You will always be part of that. Dude says it sounds like you put on the They Live glasses and saw the true forms of studio executives after the Discovery merger. Well, first of all, very funny. I like that. Also, but They Live is actually pretty good, right? It's okay. I don't like sort of like the memification or even the ironic T-shirtification of They Live, or even Shepard Fairey kind of based, all the Andre the Giant, was it Andre the Giant? He based his whole Obey campaign thing on They Live. It's been filtered through so many different layers of culture at this point and sort of parodied, and I'm not crazy about all that, but the movie itself is actually pretty good. I do like that. But yeah, and I think, part of that story too is just like, you don't see the marketing people, right? The whole point of marketing is that you see the work. You see what they want you to see. You see the image they're projecting. That's their job. But marketing professionals themselves, unless you work in that industry, are always behind the scenes. They're basically invisible, It was only when I was working in marketing that I got a better sense for what people in that field can sort of be like in terms of personality and goals and skills and all sorts of things. So I have had a pretty negative, opinion of marketing people for a good while, and it's not everybody, but yeah, it's when you can tell, right? I think you guys can tell too. I think most people can, especially when you're watching a studio movie. You can really tell when it feels manufactured, when it feels like a factory product, as opposed to, a movie that people made. I don't know. That's, yeah. And maybe I'm being too harsh. Maybe this dude is super nice. Maybe the movie is, super respectful. I don't know. Anyway, Ugo says the IP is over 13 years old. Oh, Adventure Time. Yeah, it's a safe bet. It's like SpongeBob SquarePants for Cartoon Network. That's a funny way to put it, actually. I mean, I agree that it's a very safe bet, and it is strange to think about how old it is by now, although it certainly developed a huge amount, after the first few years, right? It became a very different entity after a little while there. But yeah, no, it is safe. But although, if we are talking about SpongeBob, I mean, that's been tainted too, right? By repeated attempts to really milk it out. Just thinking of Patrick Star Show, some of the other movies and stuff. Ugh. But that was a separate stream. We went through some of that stuff already. Dude says They Live is amazing. It knew exactly what it was and executed to the best of its abilities. And no amount of memification can take that away. I like that. Yeah, that's a good comment. And yeah, it's very honest. It's very honest. It's very direct. Like plenty of John Carpenter stuff is, come to think of it. And I do think it's impactful. Some of the actiony stuff is like those are my less favorite aspects. I don't like those bits as much as some of the other bits. But no, it is great. It's great. Not subtle, and that doesn't really matter. It's just good. Ugo says, I've never seen They Live, but I know I'm here to chew bubblegum and kick it. Right, that the famous line, of course, famous action line. And you probably know the Obey stuff. You've probably seen bits of that scene, or again, like parodies or iterations of that imagery, right? Chooch says, how would you milk SpongeBob? He has no nipples. He is the opposite, right? Also, did you have to change the spelling to get past the censor? Also, did you guys hear? This is something I just heard earlier today, speaking of marketing. Apparently, this is a thing on Twitch now where there's some sort of aspect of like their content ID / computer vision system that scans content for, copyright, inappropriate content, stuff like that. Apparently, they are now allowing like advertisers to use that. So specifically, what I saw, one of the very few streamers that I watch was like, oh yeah, the other day on a stream I had like a Mountain Dew bottle or something. The content ID system, or whatever they're calling it, identified that logo, and that triggered a chat bot from the brand Mountain Dew. So then Mountain Dew was, trying to market by chatting. And usually when you get spam, usually you're trying to prevent advertising in your chat. Usually, filters are designed to keep that stuff out. Dude says I misspelled the word, but I didn't correct it because I thought it might be seen as a no-no. I don't know. It might be. It's hard for me to tell, especially because I don't think YouTube even shows me what has been, removed. Well, this shows me that Ugo did that. YouTube didn't remove Ugo's comment. He was like, oh no, I'm going to type it again. Anyway. Lots of rambles. But I mean, hey, that's what we're here to do. Okay. So once again, I am not terribly concerned about what game wins what. It's just not, unless they put it on sale. If they put something I want on sale, I guess that's a benefit. But again, as I said at the top, award stuff, it's a collection. It's a certain type of curation. It's just saying, hey, here are the things that people were really into this year, most of the time, and also some random stuff. Everybody talk about it. Everybody make content about it, and that is what we do. That is what tons of people have been doing. That's what we're doing right now. But just for kicks. Yeah, not super invested. If we want, we can take the cynical angle of, let's predict what will probably win. But in general, I just want to talk about things. There are probably a couple of, games that I feel deserve some kind of rant. Or just I want to ask some kind of question about them, I want to figure them out. But otherwise, we're just talking about them. Let's see what we got. I wrote the full word as a correction afterwards, and that comment was blocked. Ah, see, the experimentation is yielding results. But I think we were all on the same page. We were like, yeah, YouTube is not. We know how YouTube feels about that word and concept. Wetness, welcome back. How's it going? How's your week been? Wetness says, sorry I'm late. I was playing Spider-Man 2. What did I miss? Oh, perfect. Also, sorry, I'm realizing there's a better way for me to do the chat thing, which is that I do this. That goes here, like this. Because now I can look where I want to look. Don't have to strain my neck. Unlike Tumblr, YouTube doesn't care if the ipples are female present. Yeah. Tumblr is... Tumblr died. Tumblr offed itself. I don't want to get claimed either. Let's see what Alan says. That Twitch to ad thing sounds bizarre. It is. To me, I hope it's bizarre to people and that there's some kind of reaction to that. That feels intrusive, right? And like we know Twitch is Amazon. We know that like Twitch doesn't exist to give you a good time, right? Like we're aware of that. But also, as users, it's sometimes good to set some kind of limits, Just say, hey, look, like, you can show me 5 ads before I get to watch the stream. That's one thing. You can show me banner ads on the homepage. You can recommend channels I do not care about that because they make you the most money. I just don't. Yeah, that kind of stuff. And we also knew that AI would be immediately applied to advertising, right? Like that was another thing that was just completely inevitable. But yeah, it feels distinctly like invasive and weird and uncomfortable to me, but maybe I'll talk about that later. Maybe I'll talk about that elsewhere on YouTube where I've been focusing more on marketing stuff lately. Okay. What do we got? Are we ready to go? Anyway, yeah, Wetness, you mentioned you're playing Spider-Man 2. Well, guess what? Today we're talking about the nominees for the Game Awards. And I just want to look. I don't need to vote. Oh my god. First question. How many categories is too many? How long would you be willing to sit in the theater? I guess that's the main question. And then from there we can work backwards and see how many categories, right? Based on how many categories you could hit per hour when also considering that the show is filled with a bunch of ads and, musical stuff, fluff, filler, right? That every award show has to have. Just this particular presentation looks like a lot. I've also been trying to learn how to play Reversey for this reason. I went to a store and they were doing a sale. So I got Kirby Waddle Dee Reversey. And you can do other games with it too, but I forget what this says. So looking at this made me think of Reversey. It's kind of complicated. at least to my brain, Reversey is kind of complicated. So if somebody can teach me, let me know. Okay, Toot says last off-topic question. There's no limit. Every question can be off-topic, but anyway, I get it. Have you seen or are you planning to see Godzilla -1 in the theater? I only heard about it earlier today. Um, so I don't know. I am right now. I am planning to see The Boy and the Heron in the theater. Hopefully in the next couple of days. IMAX would be ideal, but it's very expensive. Um, but yeah. So I just heard about this today. Is it supposed to be the same like timeline universe as Shin Godzilla? Because I really liked that, and it was directed by Anno, of course, of Evangelion fame. This is not directed. This is Yamazaki. It is Toho, of course. It's Toho. Looks like it's doing well, and I have heard some good things already. So maybe, I guess, is the answer for right now. But no, I really like Shin Godzilla, even though it's kind of cheap looking. Like I think it was a relatively low budget movie, which was to its benefit because it made plenty back at the box office. Um, but yeah, Ugo says I got tired of ads so much that I started to use ad nauseum. That's what I use to do the fact they click on the ads. Oh, so that like clicks the skip button automatically on an ad? Wow. Yeah, and also like the YouTube ad blocker situation is way too big to um, get into right now, but it is very bad. And I am glad people are finding workarounds and stuff. But in general, yeah, I totally agree with you, Ugo. I am very I am the opposite of ad tolerant, whatever that phrase is. Like I really can't do it. Unless I have a very specific reason, or unless they're completely very old and irrelevant commercials, I can do that all day long. But modern day ads, video ads, I just really recoil. I really have trouble getting through those. Anyway, Wetness says, I'm in the last third of the game. I won't go into spoilers, but oh my gosh, it's amazing. That's great to hear. I want to come back to you on that Wetness because I have, and I think Two just played it too. Maybe. Um, I have questions. I have not played any of the modern Spider-Man games. I think I played like 30 minutes of Miles Morales, but I want to ask you some more questions about that when we get into some stuff. Wetness says once again, Yuri Lowenthal and Naji. I don't know how to say this first. Naji Peter outdid themselves as Peter and Miles, respectively. Yeah, Yuri's up for best performance, right? Jude says of Godzilla, I want to see it, but it's only in one theater in my city and not one of the fancy ones. Oh. So does that mean like a big chain one, or does that mean like kind of the rundown one? What was that theater in Boston? Well, I guess it was in Cambridge. There was like the Apple Theater or something, and it was not associated with Apple, of course. But it was a really old theater, and I liked it for that reason, but it was kind of run down, and it was like hidden in a parking lot behind a Staples and a Whole Foods. I worked at the Staples for a while. Anyway, but I have strong memories of that because when you drive by that area, that theater was always very prominent. I hope it's still there. I remember seeing the second Pokemon movie in sort of a rundown theater because that wasn't a very wide release, I don't think. That was the Gen 2, you know, Lugia, etc. I remember that. Very small theater. Not very nice. I don't remember the movie at all. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. How about we just get some tabs going? Don't need that. No, we don't. We'll open music. Let's just kill the RAM here on the PC. This is controversy. This is drama. Yes, absolutely. Sure. Okay. Also, I don't know. I'm trying not to use Chrome as much anymore, but Chrome now tells you if you mouse over the tab, Chrome says how much RAM it's using for that particular tab, which is helpful, but it also brings to light just how much RAM it soaks up for or even really basic web pages and stuff. Okay. any rants here. Okay, so the thing here, I don't know any of these other people. I know people make games. That's it. And I feel like even if I did know who the heck these other people were, I would still go ahead and vote for People Make Games because it's actually very good. They basically do investigative journalism with various sort of in-depth topics in gaming. They did a really nice piece on the VR chat, just like community and how it has developed over the years. There's another piece they did that I mentioned previously about some of the sketchy inner workings or interactions with Annapurna Interactive, who are a very highly regarded indie publisher in the gaming space. Just good. Yeah, a really good piece on Roblox as well. That was incredibly depressing. Yeah, I'm just kind of... I assume these other people are just... They just do the content creator thing. Is that not the case? Does anyone else know these people? Do we know who these people are? We got a V... Is this the first time a VTuber person has been nominated? Dude says, I 100%ed Spider-Man 2. I have 2 trophies left until I get the Platinum, but I'm going to wait until they release the New Game Plus mode to get them. That sounds like a good strategy, right? Because you're going to want to play the New Game Plus anyway. Should we just talk about that real quick? Okay, here. Please, Wetness, Tudes, anyone else who has experience with the newest Spider-Man game, please tell me, like, what are some of your favorite parts about it? Is it the vibe? Is it the feel of Peter Parker himself and the quips? Well, both he and Miles get tons of quips. I have not played it. I have watched the first 5 hours or so, I think, of the game. Is it locomotion? Is it the web swinging and slinging stuff? Moment to moment, like combat? Is it like the open world gameplay stuff with the side quests and the main story quests? Like, just please tell me, because without playing it, it usually comes across to me as an open world game, you know? And I'm like, well, I don't. So why do I want to do all these things? Is it for the skill tree? Is the skill tree stuff really satisfying? Is just the combat really killer? Is the web swinging so fun that you just want to go from place to place to place? Is it just so beautiful? Or, you know, is the presentation so incredible that you just can't stop playing? I just want to hear more. I haven't observed enough. I haven't consumed enough reviews to get a sense for why people are, you know, so into it. Let's see. Toot says, I really enjoyed the People Make Games video about Disco Elysium. They deserve the award, but I don't know the other nominees. Yeah, I don't know. Again, I'm very biased on that, but I just feel like they do good work, and I don't see as much video game journalism out there that's not in some way serving a marketing purpose, you know, in some sense. Even 6-hour deep dives, you know, on YouTube of how great a particular game is, that does ultimately boil down to encouraging people to buy a thing. At least in my opinion. Alan says LOL, Quackity, and Spreen are like in the top 10 of Spanish streamers in the world. Oh, cool. They're from Mexico and Argentina, respectively. Okay. What kind of stuff do they do? Do they specialize in, like, you know, online multiplayer stuff? Are they like really competitive, like esports type of people, or are they just like funny and good at streaming? I would like to hear more about them. And Cypher, I just don't. I'm sorry, I don't. I will admit, I have never watched a VTuber stream. I don't think ever. I think there was one time where I got close because there was some VTuber playing Terraria, which is an all-time favorite for me. Like, wow, is someone streaming Terraria? Why is this anime character streaming Terraria? What's that about? Witness says, talking about Spider-Man stuff, playing as the symbiote is fun. I played half the game with 10% swing assist, but now I'm at 0 assist. And it's fun. Okay. Okay. I don't even know what the swing assist is. I love the main villain, and the symbiote is terrifying, as it should be. But it also says the OST is amazing. The sounds of the city side quests are cool. Okay. Okay. Cool. Yeah. That's all good to hear. I mean, yeah, the swinging, it just has to be. And that is the one thing that I picked up from Miles Morales, playing it very briefly. It's just like, yeah, this is okay. Just the momentum is very fun. And it's never, you still have to think. I assume I probably had some kind of swing assist thing on because I wasn't dying. But you do have to think. You do have to still plan it out and be like, okay, hang on. I'm going to lose my height here, but I have to get over there, and then we have more skyscrapers, and we can kind of jump back up again, or run along the side of the building. Yeah, so just I don't know, just traversal seems like a big part of the appeal, but as you're touching on, Witness, also everything else, and maybe that's what I've been missing, is that it really is a comprehensive deal. It's just so many of the aspects coming together and working really well. I don't know. But I should try it. It's expensive. It's a lot of money. Alan says not esports. It's like casual gaming. For example, Minecraft multiplayer series. Okay. And a little bit of IRL. That's cool. Awesome. Okay. So streamers, yeah, doing streaming stuff, which makes sense. Like that is, of course, what you think of with, a streamer or content creator. Oh, who has made an important and positive impact. Okay, I mean, I guess that is an extra wrinkle. What, cat? What is it? What? You're okay. It is a little warm in here, but it's okay. Cool. Anyway, but thank you for filling me in. Iron Mouse and Cypher are still a mystery, but that's okay too. Let's save some RAM. Let's get that out of here for now. Okay, so anyway, I am very happy to hear that it's basically universal acclaim for Spider-Man 2, and I'm sure that if I do end up trying it, I'll like it a lot. Now, kind of funny to me that Resident Evil 4 is even here, just because I just can't see a remake winning. I was talking earlier about the difficulty of a sequel winning, especially when a previous entry has won in the same category. Remakes are even further down the line. I just don't see people, feeling strongly enough, even if it's the best thing ever, if it's the best remake ever, and obviously RE4 was incredibly successful, in multiple ways. Does anyone else see that happening? Kind of a funny inclusion. And by the way, if you're unaware, the nominees come about from essentially the gaming industry's version of an academy, which is a loose collection of media outlets, big media outlets, not just in the US, but around the world, although who knows how well, outlets outside of the US are really represented. But so it is people working in the biz. It's not popular vote. They do have stuff that's like, oh, here's what fans voted for, and you can vote if you want. It's cool. I did actually for stuff. Long story short, so it's odd to me that this would even make it to the list unless they just felt they were out of options. Also, none of these are indies. Some indies have previously made it to the Game of the Year category, the GOTY category, but it's not this time, I guess. So there's that. Toot says, I think Spider-Man 2 again. It has all the strengths of Spider-Man and Miles Morales, the games. It's consistently entertaining, and the gameplay is polished beyond what smaller studios are capable of, but it isn't as ambitious or creative as something like Baldur's Gate 3. It's the platonic ideal of a current-gen AAA single-player game. That's a very good way to put it. That's a very good way to summarize it, And that's the thing, too, is as I've expressed in many videos and streams over years now, originality is usually what really gets me going, whether it's, a movie, a show, a game, an illustration, whatever. So maybe that's part of why I've had a blocker on this one, and I just haven't, been ready to throw down the $70 plus tax in shipping to get it. Um, but I probably will. You know, there's a lot to be said for just the high budget, you know, high production value, which was also kind of my experience with the Final Fantasy VII remake. That's a big part of what won me over there. Was just like there's so much money on the screen. They have put so much into this and it's working. So I do understand it from that angle too. Yeah, Baldur's Gate 3 I just assume will win. I don't know. Um it will win plenty of things in general. Everyone has already said that. It's just, yeah, I deleted it recently. I did not get far into that game at all, and it hasn't clicked for me. It probably will if if I put enough time into it. It will click. I will understand the greatness. Didn't happen for me in about 4 hours, and I just quit. It was what 120 gigs on the hard drive, and now it's more. I just couldn't do it. Um, and yeah, I don't know. Alan Wake 2 is very flashy, obviously, visually stunning and all that. And I think when we talk about I'll talk about narrative when we get there. But I don't see it taking this. And I already talked about the sequel factor. I just don't think Tears of the Kingdom will win in really any of the categories where it's nominated. And I really did like Super Mario Brothers Wonder, but that's not flashy enough. In terms of horsepower and stuff, I feel to take this kind of thing. So I don't know. But Wenda says, oh, there you go. Wenda says when it comes to game of the year, it's going to be Mario Wonder or Spider-Man 2. I would like to see Wonder win. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't know. Just because outside of Breath of the Wild on that one, I feel like Nintendo tends to get put in the corner a lot. And the fact that this was also nominated for Best Family Game, the video game industry really likes seeing itself, or really likes taking itself incredibly seriously, especially in the U.S., which is, evidenced a lot of the time by the biggest games from the biggest publishers. And it's the same thing for the Oscars. Like a comedy has a very slim chance of winning, and similarly, of winning Best Picture. And similarly, I feel like Mario Wonder has too much joy, too much joy and or color to be considered like a serious game. Even though it totally is. It's incredibly well designed. It's an incredibly great example of just like good ideas once again. Tons of good ideas all the time. I don't know. I just don't see it happening personally. Tude says, that being said, I played Spider-Man 2 every day until I beat it, which I can't say for BG3. Yeah, it hooks so many people, and I'm not one of them. At least not yet. Yeah, I don't know. Let's move on. Whatever. Who cares about that big a word? Best narrative. I want to keep this very short, just because narrative is like a special area of interest for me, right? And my only halfway interesting comment, I guess, that I was thinking of the other day is something like Alan Wake 2 is a really, really impressive narrative to someone who is just discovering postmodernism for the first time in 2023. And I'm not trying to knock any. I'm not trying to, if you're coming across postmodernism for the first time, that's great. Like, it's not a race. Some people are coming of age. They're becoming aware of different, narrative movements and such. I just think that personally, and, given what I have consumed in terms of narrative for many years, it's not as interesting to me. The meta stuff that it does, the referential stuff, the interconnected narrative thing. And again, talk about a self-serious game. There's some silliness there. I've seen some of the silliness in Alan Wake 2. But my God, something where everyone, it just feels like, especially whoever wrote that thing, or the team of writers, they're really yeah, they think maybe kind of highly of themselves. Whereas Baldur's Gate 3, it's I guess more quantity, right? Like the sheer amount of options and potential outcomes is impressive, as opposed to the beat for beat, plot points, I guess, that you can potentially come across. And I can't speak at all to the Cyberpunk DLC. I just can't. I've tried to play the base game and didn't really connect with it. And I have also played a good bit of FF16, and I just think no. I was very impressed with Spider-Man 2's story, or what I saw of it when I was watching the playthrough. But again, it's that same vein of like, it's incredibly well polished. It's very well structured and paced from what I saw. It's not necessarily breaking boundaries, I guess, right? Like it's a very, very good story for a superhero game. It's a good superhero game story. That was my impression anyway. So I certainly still has a shot, but I don't know. I feel like the prestige of some of these other ones might take over in terms of how other people end up voting on this. So I don't know. Toot says, I have a soft spot for Remedy's brand of self-serious silliness, and I would be really sad if they went away. Yeah, and I'm not against it, you know? What did I play? I only played Control from them, and did enjoy it, although I guess the story was kind of my least favorite part. But no, I have an appreciation for it, and I'm glad it's here. I'm glad we have that kind of work being done, especially at this level. And again, just the level of budget, you know? So yeah, I'm not against it at all. It's not something that for me, makes me think, oh, that was incredible. It, made me rethink everything. And I'll remember it forever. But maybe I should just actually pick it up. Although a difficulty here too is, with a fair number of nominees, they have released very late in the year, which is something that Oscar bait movies also do to potentially capitalize on recency bias. So it's pretty tough. Be like, here's a couple, full-priced games, premium games coming out within a month of each other, and being expected to have the time and the money for both is kind of wild. Okay, let's see. Art direction. I only want to... Do I have any rants on this one? Super Mario Brothers Wonder has some of the best character animation. I guess end of sentence. Didn't think I would like that game. And I picked it up at Target one day. And, yeah. Character animation, not just on our playable characters, but also on tons of the enemies. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Oh my gosh. I haven't played as every character, but I have played as Daisy and Mario, and I think Toad at one point, and Yoshi. But in particular, Daisy has a great animation for when she's running. So you have the sprint. So she's running. And then when she stops to turn, these hard stops to turn in the other direction, sort of puts her arms up to one side for a second, and then the momentum swings back. Sorry, cat. The other way around. A small example, but wow. Oh my gosh. It's really great animation. Obviously, Hi-Fi Rush would be my, another pick here. On a personal level, I made a whole video, I think, about how great that game looks and how well it's animated. It's just incredible character animation. And great style. It knows exactly what it wants to be, and they obviously have some really talented people able to execute on that, Weird to have the Zelda sequel here when it is just the same art direction by and by as the first game. I don't know, a little bit odd. Yeah, there's that. Witness says my non-award announcement predictions: One Piece X, Fortnite, Spider-Man 2, NG Plus update, New Game Plus update, preview for New God of War, Persona 6, Elden Ring DLC, more GTA 6 info. Okay, so you're just saying I see announcement stuff. Gotcha. I missed that. Um, yes, yeah. The GTA 6 stuff too is awkward. It's still unclear to me whether they had planned that for an announcement at the Game Awards. It seems like no, which is drama, right? Like that's a snub to say this is what, they knew this was one of the biggest trailer drops in video gaming for a good while. And they said, no, we are going to put it out right before the Game Awards. That's the impression I've been getting. And then even that didn't happen because it got leaked. Someone went ahead and leaked it. But yes, I think that's a fair prediction that like this is a great opportunity to follow up on that momentum and be like, hey, even if it's just it probably wouldn't even be a release window because they already said 2025, but like just a goofy bit. Have your animation team just do a goofy little cutscene that's not even going to be in the game, but it gives us a look at something. Or even just you could introduce the main characters in more detail, that would be kind of fun. Like those, kind of dumb parodies that they would have at the front of the Oscars or another award show where it's the characters from the shows, but doing meta stuff about the Oscars. But yeah. New Game Plus release date for Spider-Man 2. I mean, I guess so. It would probably have to be a short announcement. Especially given that it's nominated for stuff here. It might feel a little awkward if they were like also putting a bunch of money into the advertising side of the Game Awards, but either way. New God of War stuff. I haven't heard about. Has there been news on new God of War stuff? Or are you just saying this would be it? This would be like the reveal. Persona 6, it would be great to get something, since I don't know if that was leaks as well, but we have found out some things about Persona. Elden Ring DLC is the perfect time. I think that's supposed to come out in the next few months, as far as I know. Absolutely the perfect time. And they have that team, that studio, and even just that game has a strong track record of advertising with the Game Awards. So, yeah. Why would you not, I guess? Unless they feel that it's completely unnecessary, that everybody will buy it anyway. Okay. Whatever. Yeah. I are you surprised as like a fan of animation that I sort of lean towards these two in terms of art direction? just my preference. I don't know. I don't know why I even brought this up. I don't have many thoughts on the scores for these movies. If you do, please let me know. But sorry, the title of the stream says Rants. I should do at least one rant. Okay, so if you don't know, and you probably do, there has been a little bit of social media drama, completely ineffectual drama, by the way. It's not going to result in anything whatsoever, which is pretty typical. There has been some drama for these two categories. So we have Best Independent Game for outstanding creative and technical game made outside the traditional publisher system. Very important phrasing here. Okay. Best debut indie game is for the best debut game created by a new independent studio. Okay. So. Okay. Outrage, drama, because Dave the Diver, the developer here, Mint Rocket, is a big deal. And basically people are saying they're not actually independent because they have ties. They work on major licensed properties, or just big properties in general. I forget. And, they're huge, and they have huge budgets, at least in comparison to studios that are like couple person teams or just getting their start, things like that. Which does seem to be the case for something like Dredge, Sea of Stars, Viewfinder. Cocoon is another awkward one for this category, because Cocoon is founded by a highly experienced developer who famously worked on Inside and Limbo and whatever else that studio did before it split up. So yes, it is technically a new studio, but at the very least, the founder is a vet, and like a very well-regarded vet in this space, as opposed to Torta Pizza, who are completely new. As far as I know, this team or person, I don't know how big the team was, um, absolutely out of nowhere, or just they hadn't released stuff previously. They had maybe worked on things previously. Um, as far as I know, same case with Venba, and Viewfinder. So, yeah, yeah, uh, tricky stuff. And I'll keep this relatively brief, but I saw some videos. I'll point to one specifically because I think it's a decent video. I'm not going to criticize that video. There is a video put up by a channel called Good Vibes Gaming. They have a pretty good presence by now, I think. It was an offshoot. It was people who used to work at Game Explain and were treated very poorly there, so they started their own studio or channel, whatever. They put out a video. It was John Cartwright and I think Ash Paulson, and they agreed with the sort of the consensus of the masses that it's weird and kind of disrespectful to include a game from a studio that is definitively not independent because they're not independently funded, because they have a bunch more money, and have worked with big publishers and brands before. So some of the response was like, well, nowadays, indie refers more to a style than to, whoever actually made the game. Pixel art is associated with indie. Side scrollers are associated with indie in a general sense. Certain art styles are associated with indie. Throwbacks to genres that had their heyday 20 or 30 years ago are considered indie. Weird ideas, just crazy weird ideas, cross-genre gameplay stuff. So here's what I'll say. This is a direct parallel to what happened with the term indie music back in the early 2000s, late 90s into the early 2000s, I would say, where originally it was a very solid definition. It meant independent record labels. So either it was, self-released music, or it was a label that was not, it was not Sony, it was not Warner, etc. Outside of the big systems. And we have, there's a similarity in filmmaking as well. You can tell what an indie movie is based on funding and distribution and all that, as compared to stuff released by the big studios, right? So again, originally indie music actually referred to independent work that didn't have major funding, major resources, or distribution. Eventually, the big studios caught on to the fact, the music studios and labels caught on to the fact that there were aesthetic trappings of indie that they could just take. They could take those and apply those to big corporate music products, and it could still kind of be called indie, because at first glance, or rather first listen, they do seem similar enough. And that is exactly what has happened in video games over the last, 10 years or so, is that big publishers and studios have realized if we take stuff from the indie scene, if we take a lot of the great ideas that have been produced by people who are really on their own and who really didn't have a safety net and were taking big risks, that can be a side project for us. That can bring in a bunch of money, and it won't hurt our pocketbooks too much at all. That is what is happening. That is what is happening. We have seen this before. It's not a new thing. And to be honest, we really shouldn't be that surprised by the fact that this is happening. We should not be surprised by the fact that big, giant, very profitable companies are sweeping up and absorbing things that were previously outside of the establishment and taking them on. It's the Borg, or it's the Blob, as I was saying in another video. That's all that's happening. It's worth having the discussion, and it's worth people getting upset about to a certain degree. But no one should be surprised. Like, just pay more attention, to be honest. unless you're new to this stuff. But like old vets, you know, people who have been playing games for a long time and also probably have exposure to uh, other art forms, you should have seen this coming. Anyway, sorry. There's a rant for you. There is that. Toot says, wait, Play Dead split up? Yes. Yeah, a good while ago. I think that was right after Inside, more or less, as far as I know. But yeah, it seems kind of bitter. I don't know. That was the vibe I was getting. So yeah, was it Somerville? Somerville is the game that was produced by the studio founded by the other founder or the other head of Playdead. And then the other guy went over here and he's, you know, geometric interactive. Is that what they're going with? Okay, sure. Toot says, I'm guessing you covered the escapist situation in a previous stream. I never thought one company could implode in a very satisfying way twice. No, I haven't actually. And again, that's probably just because, you know, I don't talk about the gaming stuff as much. And I also don't want to be redundant, you know, well, when possible. Because so many other people, I'm happy about it. But wow, were the the Second Wind team, that's the people who left the escapists, they are so fortunate, and they do seem very grateful as well, but man, are they lucky that they got the incredible amount of media traction that they did, because they could have had a very tough time building their new channel from the ground up again if they hadn't gotten massive amounts of free press from very large outlets and creators and stuff like that. Again, I'm happy about that, but what an advantage that is. And a direct point of comparison, by the way, to Good Vibes Gaming, who there was a decent push, I think, from just like friends and colleagues that when they were starting Good Vibes Gaming and being like, hey, that wasn't a good life for us and we need to take care of ourselves and our families. There was a push, but it was nowhere near the scale of what the ex-escapist team got, and that is almost exclusively because of Yahtzee and Zero Punctuation. And man, is there talk about another, you know, potential rant. Mostly a positive one when it comes to Zero Punctuation, of course, but yeah, in terms of the escapists imploding, well, okay. I would love to get more details though on their acquisition. So as far as I know, Nick was editor-in-chief of The Escapist, all of it, I guess, or just Video Division, I don't know, for the last few years. And that not rebrand, but that reboot of the site and its video content especially has been successful as far as I can tell. It got me looking at even just Zero Punctuation again. I watched it in college and kind of fell off from there. But here's the thing. Okay, so Escapist, as I understand, was acquired multiple times. Who made those decisions? So who signed on? You know, because that's the thing, is I assume everybody on the video team that quit said yes, right? To being acquired by, I think, Gamers it was at one point with a U, right? Like, they must have signed the contracts. I guess if they felt they had absolutely no alternative at the time, gotcha. But that's been the only thing floating around in the back of my head through a lot of this is like, but you knew, like you, this is what happens with acquisitions. I don't know. Maybe that sounds condescending. I don't mean it to be. But here's a funny twist too. I applied for some gamer's job. I don't know if it was for the Escapist specifically, but it was just like a video games writing job. This was earlier this year. But it was Gamers. It was, or whatever company owned the Escapist at the time. They said no, by the way, if it wasn't obvious. I don't know if they even said no. I think they just ignored, you know, they just ghosted the application. Anyway, but I sorry, to get back to it, I totally agree. I think that it's an incredibly satisfying response, you know, and like, not that I wish for anybody else to lose their jobs, like who happens to be working at the Escapist still on the site side of things, but But my gosh, the value of that property that gamers or whoever else had acquired just dropped off the face of the earth. And again, if we're being honest, the vast majority of that clout and value comes from Zero Punctuation, comes from Yahtzee's stuff. Some of the other people doing it, I like some of the other stuff they produce, but it's much more bland and middle of the road than, Zero Punctuation, which is now fully Ramblematic, which is a show title I hate. And then there's semi-Ramblematic, which is either a stream podcast version or just Yahtzee's like video essays that he wants to do on certain topics. I get that it's okay, Zero Punctuation, fully Ramblematic. I get the parallelism there. It's not a good name. It's not a good name, especially for saying out loud. So odd. Anyway, sorry to keep from rambling even further about that. I'm very happy for them, and yeah, just the spite, just the idea of spiting a big corporate entity so hard, that overnight they were like, well, do you think the Escapist will recover as a brand? Do we honestly think that it will continue to be a big force in games media? I just do not think it is going to happen. Yeah. So being that spiteful, I totally support. Oh yeah. That's great. Great. I hope it works out. Russ Pitts, one of the co-founders from the mid-2000s, gathered investors and bought the company in 2018, but he resigned pretty quickly due to a lethal dose of Twitter bad take. Okay, so then I should not assume that the people we were seeing on camera, or even, the editor-in-chief, I guess, had any real control. I guess not. They did agree, to the acquisition, or to continue to stick around, I guess, but didn't last. But yeah, no, I'm very happy for them, and it's so funny. So again, because of all that traction and all the coverage, their new stuff is basically at the same numbers it was getting at the Escapists. Like it's just a complete switch. It's just over here now on a different channel, and that's funny. I hope it works out. It's tough to financially support a team that big, so that's the stick in the pudding. Anyway, okay, I did my indie rant, and just in case you're wondering, Pizza Tower is the best one. I will be playing Venba sometime soon. It's a Game Pass game, and I have Dredge, which I bought 6 months ago and haven't played. About 6 months ago, yeah. Wow. I will not be playing Viewfinder, sorry. Dude says it's a very mid-2000s internet name. It is. It is, that's true. Fully Ramblematic was the name of the original web series. Oh, thank you for filling me in. That aired 2 episodes before Yahtzee joined the Escapists in like 2006. Funny callback, funny Easter egg, not something you stick with. I'm sorry. It's not something. It's not the one to stick with for the foreseeable future. It won't have a negative impact, I don't think. The series has its audience, and that's it's set. No. But pretty funny to hear that. Thanks for mentioning. But yeah, Pizza Tower is just so good. I'm sorry. Yeah, I played that on the stream. I don't play every game. I don't ever play games on the stream, but I played that one. Oh, it was very good. Okay. Any other rants? What else do we have? I was interested to see that Terranel did get a mobile release at some point. I was not aware of that. It's through Netflix. I thought that was a Devolver game. Or did it switch? Or maybe just the mobile distribution or publishing is Netflix? I don't know. No. Sounds like a bad idea, but is probably big in Japan. The mobile game, I know that the actual games are very big in Japan. No thanks. And no. But funnily enough, and other people have brought this up too, apparently the brand new Sonic mobile game, whose name I already forget, Tudes or anybody, witness if you know the name of that one, let me know. We also have a big Sonic fan. I forget, it's been a while since our resident Sonic fan has been around, but he would be able to tell us 100%. Exclusive to Apple Arcade is apparently very good, and I'll probably play it because I got a couple free months from my iPad. Oh, it'd be good on the iPad too. Oh, maybe I'll do that tonight. Cool. Anyway, strange, right? Because this is, it seems to me that this is one of very few award shows of any kind that just cuts off before the year is over, right? So the game, if, sorry, if you release today or they're in the rest of the month, you're ineligible. And I assume you're also ineligible for next year's Game Awards. So you're just deciding that just this little chunk of the year doesn't count. Like you don't get the recognition. That's very odd. It just has to be it just has to be because this is their slot. Like first week of December is when they do it, so they just okay, we're sticking with that. I don't know. Are December games from 2022 eligible for all this stuff? Have we already seen one? I don't know. It seems very silly to me. Regardless, yeah, I'm good on the mobile game stuff. I don't. Do we need rants? Okay. Hold on, I got a rant for you. Short one, but I have to remember which category it is. I think it's community support. Where is that? Oh yeah, we'll talk about this too. Toot says the Escapist brand might live on, but without Yahtzee, the company can't survive in any form we could recognize. Well, okay, and one final note on that too. I mean, I agree. This is something that Steph Sterling has talked about. So Steph Sterling worked at the Escapist many years ago, which I didn't know. I found their stuff later on, really enjoyed it in its own right. Did not know they used to work for the Escapist, and watched their own stuff and even did videos with Yahtzee, and it was a lot of fun. I thought that was great stuff. But Steph has said at some point, I think in some random gameplay video, was like, even when I worked at the Escapist, people would ask me, like, oh, the Escapist has reviews besides zero punctuation. Like nobody, the drop off, the drop off from zero punctuation, or now the new show, to anything else at all is so steep, and that's reflected in the just view counts and stuff. Incredibly steep. So that is something that will continue to be an issue for the new channel, I assume. But yeah, I don't know. It seems inevitable to me. Okay, let's see. Community support. Okay, this is what I want to. So Honkai Star Rail, of course, is from the same. Oh, wrong one. Sorry. I'll get there. I'm going to talk about Genshin. Best ongoing, which is also kind of a funny category, but it's a sign of the times. Genshin is here. Same studio, Hoyoverse does Honkai Star Rail and that other one whose name I already forget. Okay, so this is another one where I have questions for other people. If someone can explain this to me, then I will feel better about it. So I do not understand why Genshin, in comparison to literally every other live service online multiplayer game that's just rife with predatory monetization, I don't get why Genshin is the golden child. I don't get why we're supposed to treat Genshin differently and why it's okay for it to have all of its predatory monetization. Because it absolutely does. That's not something we can deny. That's not something we can write off at all. So why? Why? Just people like the little anime characters. Is that it? Is it just the gameplay is solid enough that it will never get as much, criticism as Fortnite. Like, I just don't get it. And I feel the same way about Honkai Star Rail and anything else they will produce. I don't understand. I there's no reason. There's no reason to act like, oh, this one's okay. This one's legitimate. This one is treating everybody well. It's not. It's really not. And as always, the argument of, well, I don't get hooked by the microtransactions, so therefore it's okay. No, well, no. There's another rant for a short. But if someone can explain that to me, if someone can explain the psychology of why, the one point this guy who animated flip notes, Dude One, welcome by the way, thanks for being here, says the game sucks for Genshin. I don't get why people play it. I hope you're talking about Genshin. I don't understand, and like, I don't want to expose myself to that either. Like, I wouldn't say I have a spending problem, but I do have poor impulse control. And if I get sucked into, like, I just don't want that from the experience. And I don't understand when people act like it's not a problem. Why is it the special one? I don't know. I find it frustrating, clearly. The best, a much more coherent, what do we say, piece, much more coherent writing on that exact topic, by the way, is a video from, oh no, I've forgotten his name. I will find it because it's very good. But yeah, it's just a long video essay that's like saying the exact same thing, but with a lot more firsthand experience, right? With someone specifically, like, hey, I played it for hundreds of hours. I spent a bunch of money on it. Here is my opinion on why it's still a really gross gacha game. Let's see. If someone knows what I'm talking about, by the way. The channel is Yakko. Yakko CMN, sorry, which is, I'll just say Yakko. Yeah, he's the guy. This is not the video. I think this touches on Genshin, and then he made a separate video on Genshin. And yes, here we go. Yeah, it's good. I've talked about his channel briefly before, a million years ago. But it basically says and there was even a follow-up because apparently, yeah, got a bunch of junk. A bunch of people just say like, no, you're inherently wrong because I just love this game so much. I just don't get it. Dude says, I follow Steph Sterling since her first days on The Escapist, and I'm one of the few people watch every episode of the Jimquisition. Oh, awesome, yeah. I love their work. And yeah, obviously Jimquisition continues to be great. The one thing I was kind of, sorry, this is brief. We're talking about other creators today. I never do that. Let's enjoy it. The one thing I was kind of missing, because I think Steph moved back to the UK a while ago after living in the US for many years. And as far as I can tell, they just stopped doing reviews for a while, both video reviews and reviews on the website. I really missed that voice, the writing voice. You know what I mean? The perspective. Because previously, released tons of gameplay videos for games, both good and bad, tons of shovelware stuff, which was also a lot of fun. But yeah, the Jimquisition can obviously get extremely heavy and difficult, and that's good. It's good work, and it has impact. But I really missed just getting reviews and hearing their particular thoughts on games. Although I will say, as a positive, they seem to have gone back to doing a lot of reviews on the site, and they were on one of the first Second Wind podcasts, during which they also shared a bunch of thoughts about games from this year. So that was fun too. That was great. Point of this guy. Let's see. I'll go with flip notes. Also, I'd love to see some of your work, so let me know. I don't know if the chat will let me do. Will let you do links, but just let me know if you have stuff on your channel. I could just click it there too. But yeah. Anyway, flip notes says, do you know of an old satire YouTuber who criticized Nintendo? Probably too broad. But no, I don't think so. Made a few videos on Flipnote Studio, Hatena, and the downfall of Flipnote Studio 3D. No, I haven't. My oh, I wonder if I could show it too on the stream. I have Flipnote. I made sure to get Flipnote at one point, and it's great, of course, by the way. But no, I don't think I have seen those videos you're talking about. So let me know if there's like a channel name or something. I could check it out if you are recommending it. But no, most of my Flipnote experience is Kiki. Love Kiki. I was thinking like, can I show these? But yeah, I think he would let, you know, I don't think he's doing copyright claims, right? Do a short one. Oh no, it's copyrighted music. And I'd have to check, but I don't know how Kiki continues to get the Flipnote look outside of Flipnote. Not quite sure. I think he is using a separate program, but I'm not sure. It could be that he's still using original hardware. I have no idea. Messages retracted. What's going on? Are they attempts to share links or something, and YouTube is like, no? We'll find a way around it. Don't worry. But yeah, I'm always sorry. Flip notes. Yeah, I'm always down for recommendations and stuff. So if you have, yeah, specific videos from that channel or just the channel as a whole, I'm remaking one of his videos. Oh, sick. Oh, cool. Yeah, if you can give me just a name or something, I can check it out later. Dude says they didn't post review scores. That changed later. Yes. And they put an emphasis on the quality of writing in their reviews. Well, that's the thing is I think Steph Sterling is just a fantastic writer. And that's something I really start to miss in most of the game reviews that I watch, to be honest. A lot of them are like, yes, they're getting the message across, but there is no style. There is absolutely no style in the scripts. And yeah, just at the level of entertainment that I don't like that. I mean, also given like I have a writing background too, that's what I prefer. I want style all over the place. Just drench me in style. Substance is kind of a secondary consideration. Yes. But yeah, there's also this. Yeah, there's controversy with the Steph Sterling review of Breath of the Wild, obviously, and I think a number of other things too. Talking about The Escapist. Sorry, thank you. Well, it applies, doesn't it? Yahtzee, definitely. I would vouch for every day of the week. I'll vouch for the style of Yahtzee's writing. You know, it's not totally my thing, but I still like it quite a bit. But no, I never actually delved into the written reviews on the site ever. I don't think so. I can't speak to that. But good to hear that they are focused more on quality at a certain point. Okay, the accessibility thing. I'm happy that it's a category in general that's some kind of net positive, right? That's cool. And I feel like the discussion here is already over. Well, voting's closed for one thing, but beyond that. Because Street Fighter 6 had so much positive press around its accessibility features, I feel it's an automatic shoo-in just because of the goodwill and the public attention. So I don't know, as far as I've seen, and let's see, I think Laura K. Buzz covered the accessibility stuff for Street Fighter 6, and if not, I did see something. Yeah, I saw something from NHK Japan actually about the accessibility features in Street Fighter 6. Obviously, there was the viral story around Evo, and yeah, so I don't know, like it just feels like an automatic shoo-in. Hopefully, it's also the one that has the best developed accessibility features, but I can't really speak to that point. It is great that a lot of the big budget stuff is just now expected to have certain accessibility features that go well beyond, difficulty, right? Just visual accessibility, audio accessibility, all sorts of things. That's great. And I'm not even really aware of what the accessibility features in Hi-Fi Rush were or Diablo 4. But if they existed and if they're viable, great. Great news. I'm happy they got nominated, but yeah, I think it's just a guarantee for Street Fighter 6, as far as I can tell. Dude says when she was on The Escapist, she also was also reviews editor of Destructoid, but always had scores in their reviews. Okay. Yeah, I guess I was aware of the Destructoid days, but I don't think I've read any of those, pieces. Tude says there's a whole Jimquisition about the alternate controls in Street Fighter 6. That may be what I saw, and maybe they then referenced Laura K. Buzz's stuff, because that's her specialty is accessibility in gaming. I think accessibility and representation in gaming, but either way. They did talk about Street Fighter 6 at some point. Cool. I don't know. Yeah, I am running out of rants, which I think is a good thing. This is ultimately more for me to relax. This is for me to get some stuff out of my system so that I'm not, staring at the ceiling in the middle of the night and just thinking, why is nobody talking about Pizza Tower? Everybody's talking about Pizza Tower. Pizza Tower is going to be just fine. Go ahead and check the Pizza Tower merch in the thumbnail of this stream. What is this? Community support. I mean, sorry. This is what I thought was ongoing games. BG3 wins it in a landslide. There you go. End of discussion. Why? Oh, 14. For a second, I thought it was FF16. I was like, why? No Man's Sky will just continue to have a shot. Cool. Flipnote says, Flipnote channel. Name ended in Dude 1. My channel name is an incorrect version of the name from memory. Oh, okay. All right. Well, then I'll use that. Can I copy paste this? Yeah. Cool. Thank you. Nice. And yeah, also that remake project sounds fun. Yeah, if it's fully animated, by the way, that's a heck of a lot of work. A lot of work. You know what I've been watching more recently in terms of YouTube animation is kind of the YTP revival. The YouTube poop revival is real, and there are a handful of channels in that space that are really taking it to another level. So yeah, that's really something. Okay, here we are. Maybe we should make this the last one because I've been talking for a very, very long time. Zoom out here. How do I? For a hotkey for that? Let's have a chat about it. Okay, so all right. If I could mark up the screen like they do, in football replays and stuff. Crossed off X. X. No one even remembers or knew that this happened. That's not a thing. Was it Hulu? We don't know. Continuation of an existing series. X. Sorry. Not going to happen. So here we have them, the two buddies, sitting right next to each other. These are the fellas. Yeah, I just think that I've spent all of my energy when it comes to the Mario movie. I just don't think I can, Dude says Last of Us hands out. Yeah, and that's hopefully I've implied that wordlessly so far. And here, I haven't even watched it. Did you watch it too? If anyone else, by the way, in the chat has watched Last of Us, please share thoughts. Because what usually happens for me when there's a really hypey show or movie or game out, even with Baldur's Gate 3, like I start to get disinterested because of the interest that everyone else has. It's just like maintaining balance in the universe or something. And I get put off. Also, I don't have that subscription service, so it's harder to watch. But I continue hype disregarded, hype regardless. I continue to hear that it's just fantastic. Like that's it. That's it. You know, it feels like it's reaching that point of just objective acclaim. Like you just can't really argue against it. And in contrast to that, it seems to be the exact opposite trajectory with the Mario movie. Now, this is not scientific observation, but based purely on my really subjective observation over the last couple weeks, I'm getting the sense that it's maybe now starting to be okay to say critical things about the Mario movie, because it was very much not okay to say critical things about the Mario movie when it released. Or if you did, it was just assumed that it was console war nonsense, right? Of just like, I have my pointless brand loyalty elsewhere. That's why I don't want this Nintendo product to do well. Not my perspective, and I'm a big Nintendo person. I'll leave it there. And I just, yeah, I see that as a positive. I see it as an incredibly positive thing that now people are having actual discussions about the Mario movie and saying, well, hey, yeah, like certain things were kind of fun. It's really not great. It's really not anything special. And that's where the discussion ends. Like if this just said, you know, video game adaptation that was something special, okay, here we are. Here we are, where it absolutely bridged the gap. This bridged the gap to like non-players, non-video game people in the sense of, oh, it's just an incredibly generic animated Illumination comedy, family movie. It's something safe to take your kids to. This felt like it was bridging the gap in terms of, oh, well, this is prestige TV. We can talk about this in the same breath as good Game of Thrones, as Better Call Saul, as what was the one about the drugs and the girl that describes a lot of shows. Wow, I on Euphoria. It's allowed to enter into that space of potential snobbery, but also just, once again, like, it's kind of objective. It's like you almost can't say bad things about it. You know, saying bad things about it almost just points to the fact that you haven't watched it. That is the feel I've been getting, and I just don't think, I'm kind of shocked. Twisted Metal is here because they couldn't think of anything else. They were like, 4 nominees is too few. No way. Oh yeah, Twisted Metal. Twisted Metal was a write-in. There was a little blank line at the bottom of the thing. 2 people wrote down Twisted Metal, and that was enough. That was enough to get it in past, you know, something that released 5 years ago that we just forgot released 5 years ago. Wow. Toot says it's not an adaptation of the gameplay. Everybody points out there's almost no zombies, but it's an excellent adaptation of the story for a different medium. Well, and yeah, and I get frustrated when it seems like people have a very what I would consider to be an inaccurate idea of what the word adaptation even means in this. Like, here's one way to put it, and it's not my line. I forget who said this, but they said, okay, when you see based on a true story, that means this is a different story. Like, it's a very definitive way to say we've changed stuff, and not even in like a wink wink kind of way. It's being clear in its own fashion. Like, it's trying to communicate, we have shaped this. in a different way. Like we adapting means change. And I just the word faithful comes up so much, especially in recent videos talking about this specific category. No, like faithful to some kind of essence. Yeah, absolutely. Like it still has to feel like it corresponds to the source material in question. But beyond that, like no, it has to be something different. It absolutely has to change things. And it is a different medium. It just doesn't make sense to have really straight one-to-one, translations from one medium to another. It doesn't work. So I'm happy to hear that it's not just try. Oh, look, they're doing the things they do in that one level. Oh, there's the famous zombies all the time. No, the spirit of it, the essence of it, the messaging, those are so much more important than the minor trappings of a particular project. So anyway, it's got to be. I would be incredibly shocked. I would be floored if it went to the Mario movie specifically. It would be pretty wild. And if it went to Twisted Metal, we would all know it's just a joke. Toot says they took the zombies out of most episodes and crammed all of them into one huge action scene in one of the episodes. Okay. Strategy. The tactic. Withhold the zombies until it's most beneficial to give zombies. Okay. Well, with that, I think I really need to stop. It has been very long, and I probably need to do some more work tonight. But it's been fun. I don't know if I completely delivered on all of, how many rants I wanted to give here. But it has been fun regardless. And yeah, like we said, it's just an opportunity to talk about stuff that came out the past year or the past 11 months. I guess December's out of the running. I'd like to check on that, but it feels like, December is just out of luck for any kind of acknowledgement. Yeah, it's been pretty good. I don't think there's... What on earth does future class mean? Ah. Uh-huh. Okay. Stretched. No. Maybe this is a good thing that they're doing. I don't know. Future class, a good net positive? Is it managed well? Save some rants for next time. Yeah, for sure. Again, strategy. No, thanks for coming out, Toods. Yeah, thanks everybody for coming out for the stream today. It's been a really fun one. I've enjoyed it a lot. I don't know what the topic or theme will be for next week. But we'll see, and maybe we'll get some commentary. A friend of mine I mentioned previously is going to the Game Awards tomorrow. So we will get an inside scoop on how that goes down. But yeah, otherwise, good stream. Thanks so much for being here. Thank you to anybody watching the stream later on. I need to stop, get back to work. But yeah, have a great rest of your week. I hope to have something else up on the channel relatively soon. It just comes down to amounts of free time. Cool. Flipnote says, can I ask you? Well, I have to stick around for this. Go for it. Go right ahead, as long as it's not something terrible. Class. Never mind, talk later. Sure? Okay. All right. It's cool. Yeah, but next stream should be next Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific. There you go. Cool. All right. I gotta stop. That's all for now. Thanks for stopping by.